There are moments in the life of a monarchy that announce themselves with trumpets and ceremony. State openings, coronations, royal weddings broadcast to billions. These are the moments the world turns to watch. And then there are the other moments, the ones that arrive without fanfare, without a press release, without a single camera pointed in their direction. The ones that slip through the machinery of public attention like water through stone, quiet, patient, and ultimately far more powerful than anything that ever made the front page. This was one of those moments. At 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, in the clipped formal language of an institutional record that most people would never read and fewer would understand, the palace confirmed something that sent a precise, controlled tremor through the most experienced observers of the British crown. Prince James, 18 years old, had been appointed to expanded stewardship responsibilities over one of the monarchy's most strategically significant and least publicly discussed private holdings.
No ceremony, no celebration, no explanation.
Just a sentence, and a silence that spoke volumes. Within hours, those fluent in the coded language of royal governance understood exactly what had happened. Not a routine administrative update, not a coming-of-age formality. Something far more deliberate, far more surgical, far more revealing about the direction of the House of Windsor than anything that had appeared on a balcony or in a ballroom in years. The monarchy had just moved one of its most important pieces into position, and it had done it where nobody was looking.
Sit with that for a moment.
Because what follows will change the way you see this institution entirely. The face you see and the force you don't. Every institution that has the prince who chose invisibility. To understand James, you have to understand what he is not. He is not the future king. He is not the spare navigating an identity crisis. He is not the royal building a personal brand in California or launching a streaming series about his family's failures. He is something rarer and, in the current climate of the monarchy, considerably more valuable than any of those things. He is the prince who chose to disappear. Not out of weakness. Not out of disinterest, but out of a disciplined, deliberate understanding that some roles require invisibility as a prerequisite. That true influence within an ancient institution is not built through headlines. It is built through trust. And trust is built in the silence between public appearances, not during them. James grew up in the specific shadow of louder narratives. The succession debates surrounding his father's generation. The fractures that opened in the family during the Sussex chapter. The intense media scrutiny that followed every senior royal from the moment of their birth through every subsequent milestone. While all of that noise filled every available screen and column inch, James was somewhere else entirely. Learning, observing, being shaped quietly and methodically into someone the monarchy would eventually need. Prince Edward and Sophie made their intentions clear from the beginning. Their children would be citizens first and royals second.
No HRH styling.
No formal title enforced before the foundations of identity were solid. No spotlight until the person standing in it knew exactly who they were and why they were there. That decision was not passive. It was a sophisticated piece of long-term institutional thinking disguised as parent, the estate that doesn't exist in tourist guides. There are properties within the royal portfolio that exist to be seen. Windsor Castle, Buckingham Palace, Sandringham. These are institutions in their own right, photographed, toured, and embedded in the public imagination as permanent symbols of the crown's presence. And then there are the others, quieter properties, less photographed, deliberately removed from public consciousness. Estates that serve not the ceremonial function of the monarchy, but its operational one. Places where the crown thinks, reflects, and prepares rather than performs. These holdings are not symbolic. They are functional. They house private archives compiled across generations. Personal papers and strategy documents that represent the unvarnished intellectual history of the Windsor dynasty. Secure facilities designed to provide insulation from external pressure at moments when the institution needs to deliberate in absolute privacy. And in recent years, they have become something else as well. In an era when every public statement is immediately dissected, Every royal appearance analyzed frame by frame, and every private conversation eventually becomes someone's podcast episode. These quiet estates represent the last genuinely protected space the monarchy has. Invisibility, it turns out, has become the crown's most valuable strategic asset. And whoever is entrusted with the management of that invisibility holds a form of institutional authority that no title alone can confer. That is what James has been given. Not a reward, a charge. The Williams strategy. To understand why James received this appointment, you have to understand the man who most observers believe drove it. Prince William's vision for the monarchy has been consistent and increasingly visible to those paying close attention. The direction he is steering toward is not about grand gestures or sweeping public reinventions. It is about restraint. No background briefings to friendly journalists. No carefully timed leaks to sympathetic columnists. No statement designed to control the narrative before it could develop its own momentum. Just the quiet confirmation of an administrative fact presented without ceremony and without invitation for public debate. This is a form of communication that is easy to underestimate, but it is deliberate, because the absence of explanation is itself a message. It says, this decision is not up for discussion. It is not seeking validation. It does not require the approval of public opinion or the endorsement of the press. It simply is. In an era when the monarchy has sometimes appeared reactive, responding to external pressure rather than setting its own course, this kind of calculated minimalism represents a significant shift. The palace is no longer performing transparency. It is exercising authority. And authority, genuine authority, has never required an audience. The Princess Royal's blueprint. No account of how James became who he is would be complete without the name that appears consistently in the background of his preparation. Princess Anne. The Princess Royal is not a figure who generates the kind of public warmth that fills television segments or inspires fan accounts. She is something more useful and considerably more rare within the modern royal family. She is effective. Decades of service. A work schedule that has consistently outpaced every other royal of her generation. A relationship with duty that has never been mediated by ego or personal ambition. An absolute intolerance for the performative aspects of royal life that have caused so many members of the family to lose their footing. And recognize something, the generational bridge. There is a symbolic dimension to this appointment that sits beneath the strategic one and runs just as deep. James is the youngest grandchild of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. His grandfather spent 73 years choosing, daily and deliberately, to place the institutional interest above his own. His grandmother spent 70 years on the throne doing the same. Their combined legacy is not a set of buildings or a collection of titles. It is a philosophy. Service over ego. Duty over display. Continuity over personality. In the years since both of them are gone, the monarchy has been searching, perhaps not always consciously, for evidence that this philosophy had survived the transition to the next generation intact. James is that evidence. In every public appearance he has made, the quality that royal observers have reached for the same vocabulary to describe is not charisma or physical presence or the ability to generate a memorable quote for the evening news. It is steadiness. The particular, uncommon quality of a person who knows exactly who they are and has no need to announce it. That quality, in a family that has sometimes appeared to be losing its footing under the pressure of the modern media environment, is not a minor virtue. It is the central one. And entrusting James with expanded stewardship of the monarchy's most private strategic assets is the institution's way of acknowledging that what it found in him is exactly what it needed. Not a star. A foundation. What comes next? The implications of this appointment extend beyond the immediate. By placing one of its most sensitive private holdings under the stewardship of a disciplined, low-profile 18-year-old with demonstrable competence and an almost constitutional aversion to the spotlight, the monarchy is making a statement about its long-term priorities. It values preservation over performance, discretion over visibility, institutional continuity.